All right, guys. This is Wally Waldron, Wally the Web Guy here. Go ahead and hit me up in the chat box and let me know if you can hear me okay. We've got a couple snafus happening this morning here on the old webinar, but everything's looking pretty good. Looks like we're ready to get started here in just a second, and folks are filtering in. So go ahead and let me know here in the chat box if you can hear me okay. I'm actually sending that. All right, we got somebody saying that they can hear me okay. All right, looking good. So today what we're going to be talking about is the 7 deadly sins of e-commerce design. And what we're going to be talking about here is how to eliminate the roadblocks keeping you from gaining more customers while maximizing your website's profits. And lots of information here that I think you'll benefit from, and really targeting 3 different levels of folks. We've got, of course, startup to beginner, let's call that $0 a year, all the way up to maybe $250,000 a year. And looks like everybody is still arriving here. So that's great. Then the next level we've got, let's call it $250,000 a year up to $1 million in revenue per year. Then you got your maybe your 1 to 3 million level revenue. And so regardless of where you're at on that whole spectrum, there's going to be a lot of great information here. So you want to sit back. Hopefully you've grabbed your favorite beverage here. I've got my glass of water here with me, and we'll talk about some of these things and get these roadblocks out of your way so that you can gain more customers and maximize your profits. So this is me. I was reminiscing a little bit. This is me about 5 years ago here with Ted Nicholas. And Ted Nicholas, an amazing guy, a long time entrepreneur. And they call him the $7.9 billion man. That's B with a B, billion with a B. And, Ted Nicholas, his whole thing is that he always believed that entrepreneurs could save the world, and I did too. And, he's a direct response marketing genius. The guy is just old school, but still going strong. And I actually had occasion to ask him a question, which was, hey, if you had one secret to your success out of everything you've done, what would it be? And he kind of walked over and looked at me and boiled it down to one thing, and that was essentially you can only play the cards that you've been dealt. And so, some of us have been dealt a really good hand, some of us have been dealt a poor hand, but at the end of the day, wherever you're at is where you're at. And that's you just have to kind of accept that and work with what's going on. I thought that was pretty cool because, it goes back a lot further than just Ted Nicholas. It goes back into Greek history, and, Epictetus here talks about happiness and freedom beginning with this clear understanding of a principle, and that's that some things are within your control and some things are not. So I was kind of keeping that in mind there, and I saw this in the Wall Street Journal recently, where Walmart, of all places, Walmart is the quintessential offline store, and they are pouring $2 billion into e-commerce over the next 2 years. And I thought that was really interesting because, if there's anybody who you would think could control their fate, it's Walmart. But the mega trend towards all commerce being e-commerce is so big that even Walmart is investing billions upon billions of dollars into their own e-commerce platform. And so I thought that was really important to think of in the context of all of our businesses, because really, if you're in business today, there's no such thing as not being in an e-commerce business. And just allow that to soak in for a minute. If you're in business today, you're in an e-commerce business. And so I just want to contrast that against sort of your normal bright and shiny objects. Facebook and Twitter are sort of the quintessential bright and shiny objects that are out there at all times, kind of vying for your attention. But the approach that we're really going to take here today is going away from bright and shiny objects, sort of accepting what is, which is that all business is e-commerce, and the marketplace is proving that, and really taking more of this tortoise versus the hare approach. And the tortoise, of course, always wins the race eventually. And so it's kind of back to that old philosophy of the Greek Stoics, which some things are within our control, and that's that, we have a business, and wherever we are right now in our growth trajectory, that's where we are. And some things are not in our control. There are big changes out there, and one of those is that everything is becoming e-commerce. And so If you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, this is for you. Authors, speakers, and coaches, I've got some good stuff coming up for you in this presentation. If you've ever asked yourself the question, how can I create more profits in the same amount of time? There's going to be a lot of good stuff in this presentation for you. If you're wondering how can I avoid time wasting my marketing efforts, there's going to be some great stuff here as well, because this, like I said, is going to be the antithesis of the bright shiny object syndrome. Folks will probably benefit the most from this presentation, e-commerce merchants of all shapes and sizes. And so basically, if you have a business and you're looking to grow it, you're going to benefit for that. If you're curious about what is working right now in the marketplace for real, then we're going to dive into some case studies and take you through some of these. If you're curious about how you can gain 200 new customers and 100K in revenue and what that model looks like, then we'll talk about a case study on that front there. If you've ever wondered how you could generate a stream of consistent targeted traffic to your website, we'll talk about some of those types of concepts here today. And I'll show you a way that we increase conversions on a stale offer by 46.9%, and also take you through how we automated a $13,000 e-commerce sale in a business that really was not an e-commerce business. So one of the things that I hear a lot of, and that folks often will come to me and say, is that, you know, creating more sales, it's more difficult than ever. You know, I can't get enough website traffic. I was just reading an article today about how people who are in SEO are still frustrated about the Panda and the Penguin update, right? The next Penguin update's not coming too quick. Well, the deal is that the thing about the update with the Penguin is that it's on Google's terms. It's not on your terms. So if SEO is the deal where you are relying on it, then you're going to have to find some other traffic sources until Google gets their act together, right? You hear another thing where visitors are distracted and they don't return to your website. Well, there's ways to fix that, but it is tough to keep people engaged. Visitors aren't loyal. That's a common complaint that I hear. Salespeople, they're expensive, right? So if we know that a salesperson is going to help us, but they're too expensive, what do? We have to figure out something that, something that can help grow the business. Conversion is low. Constant problem on websites these days. People put out a nice template, they think it's beautiful, things are looking good, and it's too low. And then, of course, the opportunity cost of bad strategies. Now, here's the good news. Even though sales supposedly are harder to make than ever in this distracted environment, you really only need three things. You need to have a product or a service, you need to have an audience to get it in front of, and then you need to have a certain level of conversion. So kind of taking that a little bit deeper, how do we go about taking the product or service, putting it out in front of enough people, and then building that audience into a flow that creates that conversion? Folks who've worked with me over the long term or have been exposed to some of my presentations in the past, you've seen this before, but just for a refresher, what this is the master key formula. And really, we're taking about over a decade and a half of proven strategies, things that I've seen firsthand and put into place for people firsthand, and it's broken down into a scientific formula that you can put over top of your business today in a manner where you can see what's missing and what you need to do next, and then scientifically improve upon your results. And so looking over here on the left, you have your traffic stack. This is where your new leads come from. And so that could be anything from SEO to PPC to Facebook ads to radio ads to blog posts to podcasts, YouTube channel, you name it. Anything that's giving you new exposure to a new pool of leads, that's your traffic stack. When you bring new leads into your marketing, you really want to build that trust with them. And so the first thing you do is build that relationship. And so relationship enhancing stories, things like that. You want to talk about people who have worked with you in the past, people who've benefited from your products and your services. And then moving on, you go into the prospect siphon. So you start building that leads list, and your list is the most important asset that you can build over the long term. And you remember at the beginning of the presentation, I showed you that picture of myself and Ted Nicholas. And Ted Nicholas would be the first one to tell you that over the long term, All of your money is in your list. And if you think about how you probably found me, you ended up on my list one way or another, and we've been building a relationship. And then over a period of time, we've been nurturing it together. And if you see on the bottom there, it looks like a smiley face, TBAFS. What is that? That's the Trust Building Automated Follow-Up Sequence. And the Trust Building Automated Follow-Up Sequence is exactly what it says. It's an automated way to build the trust further with your leads and bring them into what you see next over there, which is your offers. And when you craft an irresistible offer the correct way, what you see is high conversion, your leads going, purchasing from you, coming into the Profit Maximizer. And Profit Maximizer is delivering in such a way that your business gains profits, you get the reward as a business owner, and you do so in such a way that people become raving lunatic fans and want to go talk about you on the street. And it becomes a self-repeating cycle at that point. It's really a beautiful thing. And that's the formula that we're going to be looking at here a little bit, or the context, I guess, from which we'll be looking at this, situation. So the reason we're talking about the 7 deadly sins of e-commerce design, though, is that I want to help you prevent those mistakes that I see other businesses making, because I want to see you succeed. And by avoiding these sins, there's going to be no more guesswork for you. You're not going to hit those distractions. You're not going to lose those opportunities that you may have lost in the past. And you won't be just taking hope as a strategy. And so when I say sin, the sin that we're trying to avoid is the sin of omission. And what I mean by that is, if we have something that we're regretting because we left it out, where we left all this money on the table, by the end of this presentation, you're going to know how you can not leave that money on the table anymore, and you'll be better off than before you found me here. So the first sin that I see people making a mistake on is just not focusing on traffic. And so if you think back, traffic is your lead pool, right? This is where new blood comes in. This is where your new folks are finding you. And an important stat that you want to keep in mind is that 93% of internet sessions start with a search. And so that means that almost every time that somebody's getting on the internet, they're searching for a potential problem or a potential solution to their problem. And, it could be as simple as, I don't feel well, I can't sleep at night. Or it could be, something like where they're searching for the news of the day. But everyone who starts this internet session and starts with a search is having some type of conversation, and they're having it in their heads. And so your job is to get into that conversation that they're having into their head and find where their eyeballs are looking in the traffic. And so ways to do that are, there's a great website, alexa.com, and you can go and find an Alexa ranking for a website and get an idea for the top 5 keywords of how people are finding it. So if you're in a competitive marketplace, the first thing you want to do is go down to your competitor, type in their website. Pretty simple, right? Typing in YouTube videos, AdWords keywords, and just looking at your competition, that's a great way to find out what people are looking at. And if you go onto YouTube and do some research, it's pretty obvious. Like, there's some videos that have thousands and thousands of views, and people have been looking at them, people are replying to them, there's lots of comments and stuff like that, and there's others that get nothing. And so you'll be able to do a pretty quick glance and see what's popular and find out where that conversation's happening or where it's not. The other, let me grab some water super quick here. The other place that's really good to use is the AdWords keyword research tool, because it'll spit out some estimated search terms for you and give you an idea of, like, hey, here's how many people are looking for this, here's how many people are not looking for this, and stuff like that. And then as you kind of go a little bit deeper, you set up Google Analytics on your own website, tie it into Google Search Console, and I'm going to give you this really huge tip that almost nobody listens to me on, and that is to look up and read the Google Webmaster's Guide. And it's 50 pages, and it's boring as could be. But if you follow that and you implement that on your website and you implement what they tell you, it's amazing what happens. You read the manual, and Google rewards you from it. And then from there, there's a whole bunch of other things you can do. Actually, if you make a note and you type in the truth about SEO on Amazon, one of the books that you'll come up is by yours truly. And there's a nice little 60 odd pages there about more things that you can do about SEO, kind of separate some of the myths from what's working, what's not working. But the key is to either get empowered, and that's why I offer that to you right there, to do it yourself, kind of know the lay of the land, or, look for someone and hire it out to where you need that help. And that's just SEO that we're talking about, right? From there, you can look at doing AdWords. A secret that a lot of people don't think about is that Bing ads, typically, you don't get as much exposure because it's Bing, not as many people are looking as, on the Google network. But a lot of times you can get a higher ROI per click on Bing ads. So like e-commerce merchants, totally good place to be looking if you're looking to do some ad spend, Bing ads. So if you never considered that, do that. Facebook ads have been coming on strong the last few years. And the beauty of Facebook ads, we'll actually do a separate presentation here in the next few weeks about just Facebook ads because they're so popular right now. But the thing about Facebook ads that's so cool is you can actually go and find your audience and look for your perfect audience and then break it down into how you can access them every single day. And some of the ways you can do that are through getting in front of your audience. Some of the other ways you can do it, you can actually just generate leads straight from the platform. Super good platform, and it's getting better every day. Ad retargeting. Remember, one of the common complaints that we hear is that people are more distracted than ever. Well, what that means is you have to stay out in front of them longer. And ad retargeting is a super inexpensive way to stay out in front of people longer. And so if you remember, maybe the last time, I don't know if you're a shoe person, but I'm a shoe person. I try not to buy too many new shoes, but once in a while, you just need a new pair of shoes. So about a year ago, I went out and was just on Zappos like every night, I don't know, for a half hour for like 4 or 5 days, and I was looking at every type of shoe under the sun. I wanted a nice pair of dress shoes, but I wanted a specific type of pair of dress shoes. I wanted the kind with like, really nice, not raised up flat heel and all this other stuff, right? I was being very particular about it. Well, then I got distracted, just like everybody does, went about my day. A few days later, I get back online, and what is shown, what's right in front of me? My shoes. Exactly what I was looking for. Now, how did my shoes stay in front of me that long? Well, the answer is ad retargeting. And so Zappos spent an incremental amount, probably a couple pennies max, to stay out in front of me long enough to come back and actually buy that pair of shoes. And so now they've got me in their email database. They're going to send me more offers, and they've probably got a customer for life. So ad retargeting, super inexpensive, powerful way that most of your competitors probably don't even know about. Traditional SEO, of course, SEO, it's the slow and steady way to win, but it never hurts to have SEO traffic coming in, because once you have SEO traffic, you just keep building it and building it and building it. It's basically free traffic going forward. So, maybe day number 1 you only have 1 visit, but day number 2 you have 2 visits, then day number 4 you have 4 visits. If you just get a few more visitors every day, give it a couple years, you be sitting in a really good place. Related to traffic is content marketing. Things like podcasts, YouTube channel, Pinterest, just awesome. And depending, the key here is figure out where your marketplace is looking. So, for instance, I've got a few guys who I work with who are really into the car world, and so what they might look at doing is building a YouTube channel just around cars, right? And those become really, really popular. On the other hand, if I had a customer who was more into decorating cakes and stuff like that, they'd probably be more in the Pinterest world. So you just got to figure out like where your market's looking at stuff and how you can get that traffic. And then finally, joint venturing. If you're not focusing on joint venturing, that is the #1 sin, because joint venturing is highly warm traffic. It's the business equivalent on the internet of a giant referral on steroids, and that is when somebody that you already know and have a relationship online then recommends somebody else that can help you solve problems. And joint venturing all day long. It takes some time. You have to build up the relationships, and I have a proven way that you can do that. But the point is that if you're not doing that, you're not having success doing that, you need to keep working on it and get there. So what I thought I would do here is just kind of show you a couple little case studies of how you do the traffic thing and what you can do with that. And so one of them is how do you create thousands of YouTube views? And we have a guy who we did one engagement with him back in the summer of 2010, and all we did was we did the keyword research the way that we just recommended to you. We looked at Alexa, looked at AdWords, and looked at that and came up with what his top 4 keywords were going to be. And then we just optimized 10 YouTube videos. They're about 3 to 4 minutes each, and we built that YouTube channel the way that we talked about. And since then, almost every one of these videos has had over 5,000 visits to it, and it's been just that incremental traffic. So has it been a splurge? No, it hasn't. But he's been ranking #1 for multiple keywords since 2010. Every day without doing anything, because of that SEO, he gets just a few people that come in. He gets about 500 visitors a month. And out of those 500 visitors a month, which might not seem like much, about 33% of them join his email list. And then he's nurturing them forever, and he's got all these leads. Now, it's not all of his business, but it's a big part of his business. We have another e-commerce store that spent a lot of time on their SEO, and they got themselves into a situation where they used to be buying all this traffic, but some things happened in the business, and they need to just rely on their SEO. Well, if you have 500 plus visitors every day without lifting a finger, you can do things like focus on your on-page conversion, which this group did, and you can start to get more money out of each visitor that comes rather than spend more money on bringing visitors there. And then you can reinvest those funds into traffic as you go along. We have another person that took that content marketing approach that we're talking about. She wrote a blog post on bag balm. Seriously, bag balm, like that weird stuff that you put on your fingers. She gets 8,000 plus visitors every single day from a blog post. So, people think that this doesn't work, but it does. And then, I'm sorry, I said 8,000 plus visitor every day. That should say every month from a single blog post. And then, we have customers who we are working with to do lead generation from Facebook traffic right now. And the key here, anytime that you're paying for traffic, is it's pretty cool because the feedback loop is so quick. You just start real small, get it profitable, and then just start scaling up. And as long as you're handing over a quarter and you're getting $1 back, you're going to keep doing that all day long. And that's what paid traffic's all about. So the second sin that I see in the e-commerce world that people are making, it's a big mistake, is ignoring the social proof. And so social proof is when people look around and they assume the actions of other people are reflecting that people are doing the right thing. So like the whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, that is a huge social proof moment, right? And people do it all the time. But the whole thing about social proof is that it works the best in ambiguous social situations, and it's driven by assumptions. And so there's really nothing more ambiguous that I can think of than somebody sitting alone somewhere about to make a purchase on the internet, because they don't know if they're about to get scammed or if it's weird or whatever. And so if you provide social proof there, then all of a sudden you are allaying those fears. And so to ignore that would be at your own peril. And so there's actually 5 different types of social proof. There's the expert social proof, and especially B2B stuff. Huge proponent of expert social proof. So things like case studies. And when you're doing a case study, you do the before and after, right? So-and-so came to me here. They worked with us for this duration, and here's where they are now. You could do the same thing, right? Case studies are awesome. Great example of sort of tying in social proof with what we're talking about in the traffic area is the YouTube channel. And I mentioned if you're in the car space, for instance, you might want to do things about cars. Well, Duplicolor is one of these places who really figured this out. And so they actually took their spray paint. What Duplicolor is, it's just a spray paint for car hobbyists, basically, and enthusiasts. And what they did was they actually took a really old car and made a multi-video YouTube channel about restoring the car. And so they would strip down the car and then say, okay, on this bare rusted thing, we'll take this Duplicolor spray can here and spray it. And so, of course, they end up making this high-tech production that looks really, really nice, but it makes it look like you could basically do anything that you ever want to do to fix your car with a Duplicolor spray can. We all know that that's not true, but they do such a good job of making you think that on the YouTube channel that you almost want to just go out and buy some Duplicolor. Totally different way of social proof is, the celebrity endorsement social proof. And so I'll give you another example from the car world, just because that's what we're talking about. There's this thing called Quick Glow, which has been around since the 50s, and what it is, it's just this, I don't know, silica thing that you rub on chrome, basically, and makes it look better. Well, I actually own some Quick Glow, and the reason why is because one day I came across a YouTube channel with Jay Leno, of all people, talking about this stuff, and had the owners on there, and they said, oh, it's a family business, and look at how good it works, and all this stuff, and Jay Leno gave it his endorsement, and I totally got suckered in. So it works, and there's an example of it working. Now, user social proof, this can be just awesome. Amazon reviews, of course, if you go and you look at books and people are giving it a lot of 5 stars, you're going to be more prone to buying it, as opposed to if everything's a 1 star. Yelp kind of does the same thing for offline businesses, right? And so I kind of challenged you at the beginning of this presentation to think of all businesses as e-commerce. Well, you think that your local your local burger joint is not an e-commerce business. Well, go find out, if they get a bunch of bad Yelp reviews or a bunch of bad Google reviews, and then people stop going there, you tell me if that's an e-commerce business or not. And so we actually have some customers who spend lots and lots of time facilitating people in offline businesses, and the last thing they do is make sure they either get a Google review or a Yelp review out of these people. And that whole process right there actually helps them with their local SEO, but it gives them social proof they can rely on as well, and I'll show you an example here in just a second. And then, of course, testimonials are just awesome. Testimonials of people who have used your services, used your products, and are saying good things about them and how it helped them. You can really never go wrong having too many testimonials. And so this right here is an exact example of a testimonial. She's saying, hey, I found this place inside of Walmart, dropped my broken phone, they came and helped me, da-da-da-da-da. An important thing to keep in mind, too, with testimonials is, this lady here, she looks like the person that you want more of. So you want to tell the story in a way through the testimonials and social proof to attract more of the right kind of people. Here's an example of an Amazon review. You've probably seen those before. There's an example of a Google review, and here's an example of the wisdom of the crowd social proof. And so if you ever heard of FOMO, fear of missing out, it's a huge thing, and people really don't want to miss out on anything. I mean, Facebook is basically built on the whole concept of, yo, I did some really cool stuff, I'm bragging about it, oh, I wish you were there. And so there's something in human psychology that can be triggered again and again and again, where people will take more action or proven to take action based on fear of missing out versus the benefits they're going to gain on something. And so with e-commerce, especially in a straight-up e-commerce play, but any e-commerce play, you show them limited quantities, use terms like while supplies last, and give them a limited time to take an action. So you look here, there's some stemless wine glasses here with some refills and stuff like that. But there's 12 hours left, and if you don't get them by then, they're done. And so there's another kind of social proof, which is the wisdom of your friends. And this is kind of another version of the referral, which so you have an e-commerce store, somebody comes in and they purchase from you, and then right after the purchase is done, there's a little button that says, hey, share on Facebook. We just purchased something here. Instagram hashtag campaigns. These can be great. Especially, I'll give you an example. We're working with a athletic company right now, and just to generate buzz around people doing workouts and doing certain types of equipment and stuff like that, we generate hashtag campaigns so that more people can get excited about it. And then, especially like in a workout space, you know, it's all about social proof and getting each other pumped and staying excited. So you start owning a hashtag, and next thing you know, you own this little corner of the internet, and it's just social proof in a big echo chamber. And if you have enough people who are working on your behalf to do that, eventually the crowd starts to work on your behalf. And the same thing happens with the Amazon recommendation engine, where you know, Amazon looks at your purchases and then compares them against enough other purchases, and somehow amazingly you start to see all these purchases that you really, really want. And so let me give you a couple e-commerce redesign case studies here. This is and this is the type of thought process that you want to go with your own business and your own e-commerce site. And so this is a group who was seeing on a regular basis 0.5 to 0.7% conversion. They're always looking for improvement, of course. And so the process we went through, we took them through a competitive analysis and you know, went through some of those websites that I was showing you earlier and just figured out, okay, here's what your customers are looking for. Here's your competitors that we know are getting a lot more traffic and doing a lot more business than you. And so let's redesign around whatever elements we can break it down into. And so this is actually the website before. And what I'm going to show you here is that's their biggest competitor. And if you notice, this is a busy looking website, but this one is even busier. And a couple things I want you to take note of is it's sometimes counterintuitive to people that the quote-unquote uglier website would do so much better. But I want you to look closely at that website for just a second and ask yourself any question about how to order from them, any question about why they exist, any question about what they're offering, or any question about how you pay them or how to buy from them, and tell me if it's not answered. All of those questions are answered immediately, and there's social proof there. You see the stars with the great, it says great customer service and all that stuff. So this thing has almost every single, it actually does have every single sin of omission is not omitted. So this is like the anti-sin e-commerce design for this marketplace. And so if you see here, I want to show you this because this is actually a scan of what we did, and this is something you can duplicate in your own business. Is go to find your top competitor and literally break out the ruler and start to break it down into the elements that we're talking about here. And we found 9 distinct elements that this company was doing that our client was not doing, and came up with a redesign, and that's what it looked like. And so this is actually in the process of being implemented right now, so we don't have the final numbers for you, but I will share with you a very, very similar company that we just finished doing. And so this is literally, took this screenshot a week ago, and by just changing a few things on the website, namely how we did a certain type of promo, and we did a red add to cart button instead of a black one, we got our conversions over 1.1%. And you can see you know, historically, they were like 0.3 to 0.7, so that's a pretty big deal. Now, the next mistake or sin of omission that I see is not building email lists. And so you remember I was talking about the $7.9 billion man said the money's in the list. Well, I'm going to listen to him. The beauty of the list is you've got a built-in traffic source already, and so one of the ways you build a list is automatically when they purchase from you. The other way to do it, of course, is to generate opt-ins, but it's really key to not discount. You want to appeal to their higher nature. I'm going to talk about how that works with a conversion strategy here in a little bit. And don't be afraid to throw up a pop-up. A lot of people, they say they want to build a list, but they're afraid to do the pop-up thing. Well, pop-ups work. They convert. So don't be afraid of it. Just do it and see what happens. You can always take it down if it isn't working for you. And then, of course, Facebook leads. It's a relatively new thing, but it's just awesome. You can go find your market, find your perfect people, and basically just purchase leads. So this is an example here of a well-crafted pop-up, and so it uses a lot of that social proof we were just talking about, and then appeals to your higher nature of getting, you're joining some smart people. It's going to make you a better marketer, and it's got a big old fat call to action there on the subscribe thing. And then it's really small in the corner where it says, no, I'm good for now. So it's kind of hard to sneak out of there without subscribing. And so that's a well-designed pop-up. So I want to show you here, this is a case study on e-commerce conversion optimization that actually increased her leads. And so this was a lady who was in the high-end golf apparel for women, and we were working with her a few years ago, and we talked with her and kind of sat down and said, all right, what's your goal here? You've got this website, you've got good traffic and stuff like that. And she came up with, if I could increase my conversion rate from 0.5% to 1.5%, so essentially triple what it was in the next 12 months, she would be happy. And so what we did was we actually went through a brand upgrade. We changed the brand from discount, made it more of a premium brand. You remember I was saying appeal to the higher nature? One of the reasons you do that is because you don't really want to build a list of, discount shoppers, right? you can never, you're never going to be able to out Walmart. So what you need to do instead is figure out what that unique 10% is. And folks who've been with me for a long time, they've heard me harp on that forever now. But it's so important. Like, what is your differentiator? What is your unique selling proposition? So we changed this lady's brand from a discount shop to more of a premium shop, started to tell that story more. And we changed her prospect siphon to attract the high-end buyers, not the tire kickers and the coupon shoppers. And so we did that because they're worth so much more. And in doing so, we also worked on increasing her use of social proof from the happy customers, telling that story. We started to change the customer flow. We were taking it from Facebook, from social places. We're doing targeted search engine optimization. And, we had some ups and downs, but once we got all this stuff going, the end result was 540% increase in sales, and a big part of that was because we built the list. So if you're not building your list and you're not appealing to people the right way, you're really leaving a lot of money on the table there. And so that kind of leads us into the next sin of omission, which is neglecting to follow up with people. And so McKinsey and Company, this is a big company. They're well respected out there. They say that email conversion rates are 3 times higher than social media, and they have a 17% higher value in the conversion. They also say that email is nearly 40 times better than Facebook and Twitter at acquiring customers. That would tell me that if I'm not focusing on email about 40 times more than Facebook and Twitter, then maybe I need to rethink where I'm putting my efforts here, right? There's only 24 hours in the day, so I'm going to go where the money is being shown to be. And so this is one that I really, really like. And I trotted this out the other day with some marketers. And I said, the Direct Marketing Association, they say that email marketing yields an average of 43,000% return on investment for businesses. But hey, that's the Direct Marketing Association. Maybe they're full of it, right? And a guy raises his hand and he's like, they are not full of it. They are so right. And so I kind of tested that against these high-end advanced marketers, and everyone still finds that email marketing is such a high return on investment. So if you're not doing it, you need to stop everything you're doing and start doing it. And so for every $1 spent on email marketing, the average return on investment is $44.25. And so the sin of omission here is neglecting to follow up with email, right? I love to say that the fortune is in the follow-up. And a beautiful thing is that, most sales are made in the 5th to 12th touch. And the approach that we found to work very well, we call the trust-building follow-up sequence. And basically, we take these 8 email archetypes, everything from, testimonials and story selling and talking about what's in the news and kind of, some pattern interrupt stuff. And we build this proven trust-building follow-up sequence. And we've seen it work in selling jewelry online. We've seen it work to sell coaching online. We've seen it work to sell real estate locally. It's worked on almost Yeah, everything we've tried it on. And so it's huge, right? And a lot of it is just taking care of the numbers. So, it's one of these, go back to, can I control it or can I not? I can't control if most sales are made in the 5th through 12th touch, unless I automated that out so it happens every time. And so another great thing is that cart abandonment. Somebody comes to your e-commerce website, they forget to, they get distracted, they don't purchase whatever. All of a sudden you're back in their email box saying, hey. So here's a great example in the fortunes and the follow-up. This is one of my favorite case studies ever because it's really just average Joe with a kick-butt product who, he bit the bullet. He worked with us after some skepticism and was really happy he did. And so Carl Ederberg's $13,000 sale kind of goes like this, where we were driving traffic. We did everything we told you about finding traffic online, built a YouTube channel, built some SEO around keywords, and sent people to a website where they built the relationship with him, and they were invited to opt in for some free gifts. Those people then were nurtured on a regular basis, on average every 9 days, automatically for 3 whole years. And it was all the trust building follow-up sequence again and again and again and again. And it would send them to a long-form sales letter outlining the benefits of the Floor Pro right there, which is a $13,000 robot. And one day I get a phone call, and it's Carl, and he's sitting there and he goes, hey, it's Carl. I just have a question for you. Is this real? And he sends me a receipt in the email. And it's a $13,000 receipt. And I said, yep, that's real. And he goes, you know what? You always said this was going to happen, but I never believed you. And I thought that was just so awesome. And so he, of course, was thrilled and relieved at the same time that we'd put all these things in place for him, and he got this automatic sale. And does it happen every day? No, it's a $13,000 sale. Usually there's a phone call involved, but once in a while, an automated one will happen. So that really shows the power of this, when you put all these pieces together and you eliminate these sins of omission. And so the next one I alluded to, long-form sales letter telling about the features and the benefits. Well, if you're crafting a forgettable offer, you got some problems there, right? Now, sales solves all. I love this. One of my customers says this all the time. But if you think about it, if you have any problems in business, go make some sales. Then you got good problems to have, right? Maybe you don't know how to fulfill on them or whatever, but at least you've made some sales. And so that's what this is all about, right? So when you craft an irresistible offer as opposed to a forgettable offer, this is where you show your unique 10%. And we talked about that a second ago, but what is your unique selling proposition? What makes you unique in the marketplace? And the offer is where the decision is made to buy or is not made to buy. And so you want to take something and follow the motivation sequence. And what you're doing is you're seamlessly moving the person from interested to emotionally invested and then to purchase. And so what you're doing is you're actually crafting an emotional experience around language that will get them to take action. And so first you get their attention, and then you outline their problem. You show that your solution can solve that problem. You prove that that solution can solve that problem, and then you ask them to take action. And the beautiful thing about the motivation sequence is that this can take, there's a lot of ways to present people with irresistible offers. There are long-form sales letters. There are short pages with a picture and an add to cart button and a description. There are DVDs, there are video sales letters, there are webinars. And once you have an irresistible offer in place, you can put it into all these different modalities and continue to grow your business, your e-commerce business on top of this. And this is a great way that you can actually do this afternoon. And the whole thing is to sell the sizzle and not the steak. And so all you have to do, and we did this for Carl with this $13,000 sale. First thing we did was say, all right, on the left-hand side, we're going to write down all of the features of this particular item. We just go down the line. Item has a stainless steel wheel. Item has this. Item has that. Item holds this battery. Okay, what does that mean? Well, there's a benefit associated that someone who would look at purchasing this could get interested in. So stainless steel will. Why is that a benefit? Well, in the case of that kind of thing, it would be because the wheel will never rust, and therefore it will last forever, and your tool will not die, right? Perhaps we're talking about a number 2 pencil. A number 2 pencil is shaped like an octagon. That's a feature. Why is it shaped that way? Well, the benefit is that it won't roll off of the table. So kind of funny, but kind of interesting, right? And so what you want to do is you're looking from the perspective of the business owner or the person creating this offer at all the features, but the language you want to always be using is all of the benefits. And so as you go through this, just meet your customers wherever they may be. So if you have the type of customer that likes to read, you hit them with a long-form sales letter. If you have the customer that likes to interact with people, maybe give them the live webinar. My customers love live webinars. That's why we're here right now. Automated video sales letters. You know, some of the greatest companies that are out there, direct response e-commerce companies, places like Agora Publishing come to mind. They are selling high-dollar continuity programs, and they almost always do it through a combination of placed advertisements, then sending you to a long-form content piece, and then getting you to opt in and watch a video sales letter. Boom, boom, boom. You know, offline books and letters, kind of dripping on people in the offline world. You know, offline, even if you're in e-commerce, don't neglect your offline marketing stuff. Maybe you're selling some type of, I don't know, lamp product. Maybe it's an oil, and the lamp oil is going to run out after about 30 days because you burn it in these lamps. So are you including a leave behind? Are you including a either a postcard or some type of thing that people can you know, look at and order from you easier? If not, you're probably leaving money on the table. You know, doing things like speeches. You can do irresistible offers and speeches. So if you can do a webinar, you can do a speech. If you can do a speech, you can do a webinar. DVDs and infomercials. Sounds a lot like a webinar or speech to me. E-commerce offers we just talked about, and of course the back of the room sales. So you know, neglecting all of these things can you know, really just by not neglecting them, rather, you can really get a big bump in your conversions. And so this is an irresistible offer that we took, and we actually found these 2 stale offers that this gentleman, Matt Fury, had, and we did an analysis, and by changing just a couple little things on the add to cart button, we increased his conversions by 18.4% and 46.9% respectively. And what we actually did, if you're familiar with the Perry Belcher button, we actually took a version of that button and we changed the way that it read and what that wording looked like. And we did such a big increase with this. I'll tell you what, if you talk to me later, I'll I'll tell you what we did exactly, but I'm not going to share it on this webinar. So I'll leave it at that. But this is the secret sauce, and it was really, really good. It was 46.9% conversion increase. The next sin that people do is not focusing on their bottom line, and so this is something here. This is an interesting one because a lot of folks, especially when they're trying to get from that startup mode up to the 250 a year, or trying to even get to that 1 million a year mark, they sometimes have trouble with this. And part of it's a mindset thing. And so I just want to clear this up real quick. You know, focusing on your profit margin, this is your reward for serving the marketplace, is bringing in profit. And, you know, also, it's really what gives you a margin for error, because sometimes you're going to have months that are slow and sometimes you have months that are fat. So it just depends. So it's all about maximizing the profits and the profit maximizer. And really what that is ask yourself where your low-hanging fruit is. And then if you think about it, you can figure out how to upsell, cross-sell, and maintain long-term customer loyalty. And I always liked this saying, you know, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And the point is that this is how you can really make a difference. If you're profitable, you can provide jobs for people. If you're profitable, you can give to charity. If you're profitable, you can really do anything that you want in the world. If you're not profitable, you're in deep doo-doo. So one of the easiest things you can do in an e-commerce situation is do a 10% average increase in sales by doing an instant upsell. So somebody comes to you, they've already put their information in, they purchase, let's say, a bag of vitamins, and then right before they've already completed that first order, and it says, would you like to get your next bag of vitamins for 10% off in 30 days automatically? Yes or no? And if I click yes, about 10% of them will, you'll get that sale. That would also be continuity, so you kind of hit two birds with one stone there. Cross-selling. Cross-selling is perfect, right? That's the classic, would you like fries with that, right? And then, of course, care is you have a customer, you ask them questions, you recommend solutions, and you extend the relationship. So the whole idea is to provide good value up front, good value ongoing, and keep that customer as long as possible, because it's a lot cheaper and, quite frankly, better for everybody to keep the customer for a long time than it is to have to go out and find them again from scratch. When you do all this, you increase your total customer value, and one of the ways to do that is to do an 80-20 analysis. And 80-20 shows up pretty much everywhere that you look, and so you look at that 20% of your customers that are providing 80% of your profits, and do a little something extra for the 20%. Maybe just send them, brownies. Maybe you send them a new product that you made for free. Maybe just give them an extra phone call and just say, hey, thanks, we really enjoy working with you. But you want to take care of those people and just get a little bit, you just keep improving on that, and all of a sudden, there's your profit maximizer. And so I want to show you how we did this, and this one, I think, will stretch your boundaries of, is it true that, is it true that all commerce is e-commerce? This was a ski company. They manufactured and sold skis. And so we turned it into an e-commerce play, and here's how we did it. We did a traditional internet marketing launch. We segmented their email list, and we did the internet marketing launch model. We did a lot of fear of missing out, a lot of scarcity, and we really built up this this program that essentially was a fan club. You get to go skiing with the people who make your skis. It was awesome. When we launched this thing at 12 noon, there were nonstop phone calls of people trying to buy into it. We generated 200 new customers for these folks in 36 hours. And it ended up being just a shade under $100,000 of additional incremental revenue. And it happened to be at a time of year when they could really, really use that. So, I challenge you to think of whatever business you're in as an e-commerce business, because it is, whether you want it to be or not. So the seventh deadly sin that I see people making is not building an asset that's sellable. And this is a little different now. This is not just about building that business to the next level or, kind of chasing that internet marketing dream. This is about building a business and not a job. And this is about finding a way to transform your life because it's the fastest road to financial freedom. And, I've been around people who are pretty calm, and there's really like three ways to be calm. And the first one is you probably have a trust fund. So if you're on this webinar, you probably don't have that. So the other way to be calm is to just, be like a Zen monk kind of calm. And probably the fastest way to be the Zen monk kind of calm is to be, I just exited with a fat paycheck from my business calm. If you've ever been around somebody who just did that recently, and they're just kind of like hanging out, you'll know what I'm talking about. But they're folks who have built a business and not a job, and they have time wealth now because they've achieved financial freedom. And so love them or hate them, you got the rich dad, poor dad guy. You got Robert Kiyosaki there, and he's got a model where people go from entrepreneur to self-employed from employee to self-employed to business owner to investor. And so by running an e-commerce store and doing it by putting processes in place and getting yourself into that CEO role, you move into that business side or maybe the investor side even. And so to give you some examples here, a traditional e-commerce store, you build it up, you get it sustainable, you get it to where it almost runs itself, and then you sell it. That's a pretty simple situation, right? You went from the business owner side into the investor side. Boom, that's awesome. So you've avoided that sin of omission of not building a sellable asset. Coaches will push back on me, oh, there's no way that I can be a coach and, create a sellable asset. And I always trot out John C. Maxwell, who has created processes and systems for all of his coaches to come in, get certified, and now all of a sudden there's a bunch of people who are John C. Maxwell coaches out there, and he's built a business around that, and he actually has an asset. And the other thing that you might not think about is your marketing needs to be an asset. And so I was on the phone with a carpet cleaner recently, and he's talking about taking his service business and selling it the next 2 to 3 years. Well, it's going to be a life-changing event for him. But because he's working with us to have all of his marketing processes and relationships dialed in and proven over a period of time, he has an additional asset that's going to generate a greater return for him. And he's going to be faster going down that road to financial freedom. And a lot of people don't really think about that. So this is kind of how it looks as you go through this trajectory. Start up to 250K, you're getting capital, you're relying very much on hustle, you're starting to build systems around you, hopefully. From about 250, and I'm talking about revenue here, to $1 million revenue, you're probably gathering your employees to work these systems and managing on the systems and really trying to keep the road going. Once you get to about $1 million to $3 million, now you're getting a pretty cool place because you can start to optimize and you can start to scale. And that's really where some big changes can happen. And the folks that I typically work with are going to be in these first 3 tranches, which is start up to 250K, 250K to 1 million. That's where I can help people make the greatest quantum leap, and then 1 million to 3 million. Once you get to 3 million and above, what's cool about that is basically you're usually big enough that you have specific sections of your business and they're running themselves. And so whether you're at the startup to 250K or the 250K to 1 million or the 1 million to 3 million or above, how do you get from that next tranche up to the next one? Well, you find people who've been there and done that. And so I want to talk to you just real quickly about a couple things that I've done recently that you may not know about that might be valuable. And an amazing thing happens when you take these systems, you start to put them in place, you go from sales to profits, you start to build your scale on that, and you get that larger exit multiple. And a couple different options you actually have there when you take your experience and my experience as well, plus your unique wisdom, you experience growth. And so if you're at seed or startup or growth or established, expansion, mature, wherever you are in that whole thing, it's just about looking around and figuring out what that next step is. And it's pretty cool. What I've seen happen is entrepreneurs are often much too close and emotionally involved with their business, and so it's tough for them to identify problems. And sometimes there's just great opportunities that are being left over there. So I'll share with you in just a second, how you can get a second set of eyes on some of that stuff. And I get a lot of questions about, okay, well, you create all these great results for people, or you've worked with people to help them create those. How do you work with people? And it's really quite simple. There's really 3 ways we can do it. Most people will start with either a growth event, which oftentimes is very short term, maybe up to a year, but sometimes just 30 to 45 days. And then a lot of times that will actually evolve into a growth partner for a term. So we have a number of people right now, and we actually have a couple available, more slots available, if you determine this is the right fit for you right now, where we work with them on a month-to-month basis, and we are growing their business scientifically and steadily using all of these things that we've showed you here today. And then for very select few, and it's kind of a whole different ball of wax, we do work with a few people on Growth Partner for an exit. And at least in my experience, you will have worked with me on another level first before that's even part of the conversation. But I will put it out there because it is kind of a bigger game that that I've been playing with people, and we've created some amazing results. And so you may be asking, hey, are we a good fit? And not everybody is a good fit to work together. But if you like what you've seen here today, and you're thinking there might be a way for me to help you grow to the next level, I think what we ought to do is just invest some time together and explore whether we're a good fit to work together. And kind of how you'll know if you're a good fit is, if you like the importance of taking a long-term view in business and you take a short-term urgency to get things done, then you're probably a good fit. If you like the words "be quick but do not hurry," we're probably a good fit. And if you're the type of person that values long-term relationships with high-quality, honest people who work as hard as you do, then it's probably time to explore working together. So what you can do here is go to wallythewebguy.com/meet, and what you'll get there is just a quick little questionnaire, and it'll help you kind of get your thoughts down, get you clear on what you're trying to do at this next level here, and we'll set up a time to talk. And it'll be sometime in the next couple weeks, and let me just show you what that looks like, wallythewebguy.com/meet. So if you go over there, type in wallythewebguy.com/meet, you will be forwarded over to this white page here in just a second, and just ask you a few questions about your business, who you are, where your website is, what your phone number is, how you heard of me, and just some of your goals. So worst case scenarios, you get a little bit more clear on where you're headed, and we'll have a friendly chat, see if anything that we have over here lines up with what you've got going on, and I will look forward to talking with you real soon. So thanks for being here today, and I'll see you over at wallythewebguy.com/meet.